Good afternoon, everyone. May I ask the attendees to take their seats? Welcome, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you to this very special event. My name is Rick Page. I'm Dean of the Larner College of Medicine, and I'm really pleased to welcome you to the Hale Gallery and those visiting via live stream to take part in one of the University of Vermont's most revered traditions, the Endowed Faculty Investiture ceremony. Today, we have the pleasure of recognizing and celebrating Professor of Psychiatry, Dr. Judith L. Lewis, as the inaugural holder of the Robert A. Pierattini, MD, Green and Gold Professor in Psychiatry. We're privileged to have a number of guests joining us today. I should mention, Provost Prelock wanted to be here, but her dean, her friend, and part-time medical consultant advised that she go home. And she is watching on live stream, but she's under the weather, and she sends her regards. I will do my best to provide her notes that she prepared for this special occasion. Also in person today is UVM Foundation President and CEO, Monica DeLisa. Monica represents a terrific team who's been crucial in helping to establish endowed professorships, as well as supporting so many of our missions. Also slipping in and back, Steve Leffler is here, the CEO and president of UVM Medical Center and a proud alumnus of the Larner College of Medicine. I want to welcome Dr. Robert Althoff, the Department of Psychiatry chair, from whom you will hear some comments in just a few moments, and also welcome Dr. Pierattini, a good friend of all of us here, for whom the professorship we recognize today is named. Dr. Pierattini first became interim chair of psychiatry here in 2001, before being named chair in 2005. He welcomed me as I joined the faculty as dean in 2018. And in 2021, he stepped down as chair and health service leader of the Department of Psychiatry to hold an interim leadership position as president and CEO of the UVM Health Network Medical Group, executive vice president for clinical affairs for the University of Vermont, and senior associate dean for clinical affairs here at the Larner College of Medicine. He filled those three roles superbly until we identified Dr. Jason Sanders, who's with us today, who took over those roles, and Dr. Pierattini has continued with his clinical practice and teaching. Now, this endowed professorship was established through generosity of its founding donor, Dr. Catherine Teeter of Middlebury, Vermont, in honor of Dr. Pierattini. Dr. Pierattini and his wife, Elizabeth Schmidt, and the late Betty Hempel, also of Middlebury, subsequently made donations to augment the fund and enhance its profound impact. I'd like to take a moment to welcome members of the Teeter family who are joining us from elsewhere in the US via Zoom. Kathy Teeter Bowen and Paul Teeter. Welcome to you. We wish you could be here in person, but we're thankful that we have this technology to welcome you in this way. They're here to recognize this professorship, and we thank you and your late mother, Catherine Teeter, for her role in establishing this endowed professorship. Endowed positions, such as the one we're celebrating today, are among the highest honors the University of Vermont can bestow on a faculty member. Investing outstanding faculty members with endowed chairs and professorships allows the university to recognize and celebrate academic achievement and to further encourage scholarship, service, and clinical excellence. Endowed faculty positions are a tribute to the holder and a permanent legacy for the donors who established them. These named chairs and professorships help ensure the quality and strength of our faculty for years to come, while clearly reflecting the interests and hopes of the donors who establish and support them. Endowed professorships and chairs are also important in recruiting and retaining the most creative researchers, the most effective teachers, the best clinicians, and the finest leaders. Exceptional faculty members, such as Dr. Lewis, in turn create a dynamic and engaging environment that attracts outstanding researchers, students, and colleagues. For all these reasons, on behalf of the Larner College of Medicine, I'm tremendously grateful to our donors, both here and online. Now, normally I would be introducing Provost Prelock right now. Provost Prelock, I hope you're there. I hope you're feeling better. We all send our regards to you. I want to share with you her comments, specifically identifying the importance of today's event. Dr. Prelock wanted to acknowledge Dr. Lewis for your exceptional record of service to the entire university and the entire community. We may note that you're a proud member of the College of Medicine class of 1989, and it's so meaningful for her and for us to acknowledge our outstanding alumni. Dr. Lewis is a second generation of the Lewis family to serve our community. Her father, Dr. John Lewis, is an emeritus professor of OBGYN and reproductive sciences. Dr. Judy Lewis has built a record of excellence in teaching since she joined our faculty in 2003. She serves as director of Psychiatry Residency Training Program. She served as director for 13 years before becoming director of psychotherapy training in 2022. Dr. Lewis has extensive experience in teaching psychotherapy, helping to form the next generation of caring and effective clinicians. And her work in this area has been recognized by those residents with 2 Excellence in Academic Teaching awards. She was named Teacher of the Year for Graduate Medical Education in 2016 and received the Educational Scholarship Award from the Larner College of Medicine in 2018. That award recognized her extensive scholarship on student mistreatment. The Teaching Academy in the Larner College of Medicine has also named Dr. Lewis as a Distinguished Educator, its highest category of membership since 2014. In addition, Dr. Lewis was a recipient of a Fry Moyer Scholarship to develop web-based education modules in psychiatry, a project that benefited both medical and nursing students here at UVM. Dr. Lewis, as Provost Prelock said, is the kind of clinician educator we need. And she's so proud that UVM helps to produce a caring and inquiring teacher and a healer for vulnerable patients. If she were here, she'd make a point that UVM has a land grant mission that at its core is a social contract between the institution and the people it serves. The Larner College of Medicine's investment in the health and well-being of our community is one of the most important and visible ways that UVM fulfills that contract and advances the missions of service. Educating our our future healthcare providers is among the most noble ways UVM supports Vermonters. I love saying that from the perspective of the provost, because I believe it. It's so nice to hear the provost's words as well. Dr. Lewis truly embodies the best of UVM. She's making a difference for her patients and the students and residents she's educating and training. Across UVM, our faculty, staff, and students are pursuing innovative research that supports healthy societies and healthy environment. These are key components of the university's strategic vision, amplifying our impact. To ensure student success, invest in the university's distinct research strengths, and fulfill the university's land grant mission. So thank you, Provost Pierattini, for putting that together so beautifully. It's now my pleasure to welcome to the lectern a person who's known and worked with Dr. Lewis for many years here at the Larner College of Medicine, who can speak further about her outstanding qualifications, Dr. Robert Althoff. A little bit about Dr. Althoff. He was named interim chair of psychiatry in October 2021. And at the beginning of last month, we were very pleased that after a highly competitive national search, he was named chair of the Department of Psychiatry, following in Dr. Pierattini's footsteps. A physician scientist and national leader in child and adolescent psychiatry, Dr. Althoff specializes in research on the development of emotional self-regulation in children. He is a distinguished fellow of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and is associate editor of the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. He's twice received awards for excellence in academic teaching within the UVM psychiatry residency. He served on the faculty since 2006. While a majority of his service has been here in Burlington, he's provided service and collaborated with every one of the campuses in the UVM Health Network. And from 2017 through 2021, he served as medical director for psychiatry at UVM Health Network Champlain Valley Physicians Hospital, or CVPH. In that way, he served as division chief for the Adirondack division of the Department of Psychiatry. To summarize, Dr. Althoff is an outstanding clinician, investigator, and teacher. I'm so glad he is now our chair of the Department of Psychiatry, and we'll have the honor now of introducing Dr. Lewis to us. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Althoff.
Thank you, Dean Page. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my teacher, colleague, and friend, Dr. Judy Lewis, today. Then I'm able to introduce her in the context of also honoring Dr. Pierattini, and the lives touched by his work makes today even more special. As Dean Page and Provost Pierattini mentioned, endowed professorships are a key aspect of any academic institution. In this case, the Robert A. Pierattini, MD, Green and Gold Professorship in Psychiatry becomes just the third endowed professorship in our department, and Dr. Lewis becomes the first woman to hold an endowed professorship in the Department of Psychiatry. The first of many, I hope. I'd like to be up here talking about many other people. An additional aspect, special aspect of this professorship is that the holder is intended to be an individual dedicated to the practice of the teaching of psychotherapy to our trainees. An appreciation to psychotherapy, training, and practice is a quality embodied by Dr. Pierattini in his work, and that same passion for psychotherapy is exemplified in today's recipient, Dr. Lewis. Dr. Lewis graduated with a BA with honors in neuroscience from Williams College, where she studied rabbit learning and memory with Paul Solomon. Thankfully for us, her interest in memory and neuroscience moved out of the bunnies and into a consideration of memory and experience of humans during medical school here at the College of Medicine. She graduated from UVM College of Medicine, after which she attended the psychiatric residency at Columbia Presbyterian. She went on to train for 5 years at the Columbia University Training Center for Psychoanalytic Training and Research while working as an instructor and then an assistant professor at Columbia. To our great gain, Dr. Lewis and her family returned to Vermont in 2003. I was a resident at the time, and I remember that it seemed odd that this brilliant psychoanalyst was taking a position on the inpatient psychiatry unit. Later, after having spoken to patients of hers while she was attending on the inpatient unit, I understood that a dedication to the understanding of trauma, a fascination with the foundations of personality development, and a desire to relate these aspects of humanity to the memory, to memory and the brain would serve the patients in that setting so incredibly well, and go on to serve the patients in the Seneca program where she now serves. It was also there on the inpatient unit that she was continually exposed to the medical students and residents whose education would then encompass much of her scholarly work. First as Director of Medical Student Education for 5 years, and then as Psychiatry Residency Training Director for 13, Dr. Lewis's career at the Larner College of Medicine has been defined by a desire not just to educate, but to innovate in the area of psychiatric education. She developed modules on the learning environment and the teaching of the mental status exam that are being used broadly around the country. She became an executive leader at the national level as part of the American Academy of Directors of Psychiatry Research Residency Training. She applied for educational grants such as the Frye Memorial Scholarship and received them, allowing her to innovate further. Throughout this extensive and accomplished career in educational innovation, however, remained a dedication at home to her patients and her trainees. Time and again, she was awarded Resident Teaching and Appreciation Awards, and in 2016 was awarded the Graduate Medical Education Teacher of the Year for the entire graduate medical education system at UVM MC. In honor of her clinical excellence, she also received the Bruce Gibbard Award from the Vermont Psychiatric Association in 2021. I could go on to highlight additional accomplishments, but we would be here for a while. I will just add that personally, Dr. Lewis has been an incredible teacher, an incredible friend, an incredible confidant in issues that are difficult. She manages her clinical work and her educational work with a certain ability that is sort of transcends what many of us think of as the most professional among us. Thank you, Judy, for years of service to the department. Thank you, Bob, Elizabeth, and the Teeter and Hampel families for making this award possible. And thank you, family, friends, colleagues, for coming out and share this important moment for Dr. Lewis, for the department, for the college, and the university. We will now present Dr. Lewis with a medallion that marks this occasion and signifies her status as the holder of an endowed professorship. We hope that she will wear it with her academic regalia at commencement and other official university functions. Dr. Lewis, will you please come forward? Dr. Judith Lewis, as a highly respected researcher, clinician, teacher, and scholar, is a highly respected researcher, clinician, teacher, and scholar. She has dedicated her career to improving the lives of patients and families who face complex and challenging journeys. Through her research, teaching, and leadership, she will ensure that we constantly improve our ability to care for patients here in Vermont and around the world. Her presence gives great distinction to the Robert Larner MD College of Medicine at the University of Vermont and to the Department of Psychiatry. Dr. Judith Lewis, the inaugural Robert A. Pierattini MD Green and Gold Professorship in Psychiatry, we honor you today with this medallion, which serves as an enduring symbol of the excellence you strive to achieve in all aspects of your professional life.
I remember medical school commencement when this happened too. I have a picture of myself many, many years ago. I just look around the room and see so many faces of people that have supported me and been friends and colleagues, and just I want to come up and hug all of you. I see you all there. Okay, so I have prepared some comments. I hope they will fit into the 5 minutes I have. And hello, everyone who's here remotely. Hope you can hear all right. So I am very honored to receive this professorship and very proud to be here today. I'm also humbled by what's been said so far and by the distinct honor of being the first to receive this professorship. What a tremendous gift this endowment is to our department, our future graduates, and by extension to all of their patients. As I look back over my career, I have much gratitude for the training I've had, the mentorship I've received, and for the clinical and education colleagues I've had. Let me tell you a bit about the personal side of my trajectory beyond the CV points that Rob mentioned. I was raised here in Vermont since moving here before my kindergarten year. My father, who's also a physician, was offered a job by the then chair of OBGYN, Dr. John Meck, and my parents had the adventurous wisdom to move our family here from Philadelphia, back when people didn't really know where Vermont was. Vermont was an amazing place to grow up, and like many people, my love for the state and my appreciation for the education I've had here from elementary through high school to this medical school has stayed with me as I moved on in my career. I went to New York City and I thought to myself, okay, I'll be there 4 years and then I'll come back. With my husband, hopefully he would be in agreement to come back, and thank goodness 9 years later, so 10 years in New York, we did. Sort of recraft our life and bring our kids ages 3 and 5 up here to Vermont. And I stayed extra 5 years after residency for analytic training. Psychoanalytic training, which some of you might know, is like a fellowship. It has components of rigorous didactics as well as supervision. And then there's an extra component of your own personal psychoanalysis, which was very enriching for me and is so important for all of us in the mental health field. So that was part of tremendous personal growth and professional growth when I was in New York. And we did eventually pry ourselves from the city, move back with our 2 kids. And I'll never forget when my son, Antonio, age 3, sat on our front step in Charlotte and said, "Where are all the people?" I didn't know it then, but rejoining this medical school and department would lead to growth from opportunities I couldn't have had in New York. Bob Pierattini, who was then interim co-chair, and Jim Jacobson, a psychoanalyst, was then the head of the search committee, recruited me into the position that was open at the time, inpatient psychiatry. And I think everyone was a bit surprised that I was interested, and yet all aspects of psychiatry fascinated me. So of course I was. And I stayed for 16 years. I think that the hospital work was rewarding. I found enjoyment meeting people in crisis, helping to sort out what was going on and facilitating their early journey to recovery. It was higher acuity than my work in private practice, so my head and mind over the 16 years are peopled with people who made pretty miraculous recoveries, and those memories I cherish. But then Bob called me up 2 years into my stay here and asked me if I wanted to be director of the clerkship. And so with Scott Waterman, I got involved in medical education, and what a perfect fit for me. I'm tremendously grateful for that, that move. And it's been terrific. I have flourished in that role and then in director of the residency program for 13 years. Along the way, my psychoanalytic training enriched and stabilized me, prevented burnout, and helped me sustain my fascination with the work, this incredible privilege of being a psychiatrist. So on the inpatient units, I traveled with a wonderful group of people. I have many warm memories of the staff I worked with social workers, nurses, unit secretaries, techs, mental health technicians, and group therapists, some of whom are here today. Isabel Desjardins, who started a month before me, was our unit director. And we joined Suzanne Kennedy, who was here a few years before us, and we more than doubled the number of women in the department. But we didn't even think about that at the time. And we set to work trying to make our lives work. I remember we had intensivist meeting where we'd sit down, and the first order of business was to take out our calendars and see when we'd cover for each other. And there's Mark Hoskin and Sanchit, who knows well what those conversations are like. So the 3 of us supported each other as working mothers and prioritized making our lives work and extending that to everyone we worked with subsequently in our leadership roles. And we got that from Bob as our chair. There are more than a few times that Bob's practical help, his wisdom, his calm, reassuring presence shepherded me through various life crises I've encountered across my time here. And I know he's done that for many of you as well. So my work in the classroom focused on why patients seek therapy, psychological trauma, adverse developmental experience, personality styles, the dynamics of shame, and many other topics. My scholarly work was seeded by a Frymore grant from the medical school and really helped support me while I did self-study modules and then on into the learning environment, creating a film project. And these were sources of pride and great job satisfaction. They're projects I was deeply passionate about and deeply satisfied my creative streak. I was happy as a clam working on them after hours, where the line between work and play blurred as I got into a zone of engrossed attention. And I know many of you can resonate with that feeling. Along the journey, I've had many co-creators. I'm very grateful for the Comet team, Jill Jemison, Andy Verhulst for the learning modules, Natalie Feldman, and graduate Sean Ackerman and Charmaine Patel for the learning environment work, Jeremiah Dickerson and Aaron Curtis for the mental status e-module work, Michelle Pelliel, and all of the residents, the chief residents and all the residents for my residency training work, Jim Jacobson for my psychotherapy curriculum work, Mina Levinsky-Wohl for my work with the Vermont Psychoanalytic Study Group. So there is actually a group here for psychoanalytic training that I've been, had the honor to be part of now. And I'm especially grateful for Jim as he's helped me transition into what he's been doing for 20 years. And it's laid a very strong foundation that I'm eager to pick up and carry forward. And I really appreciate his support. So I'm eager to turn my creative mind to the psychotherapy curriculum and immerse myself in the challenge of how to teach it. And in this role, I hope to inspire residents as I myself was inspired to be the best psychiatrist they can be, a psychiatrist in the sense of two people sitting in a room, one in the role of understanding and helping the other, wherever that room might be. The studies show that about 47% of our graduates go on to practice formal psychotherapy, but everyone else absolutely uses their training in every encounter they have with patients. So I'm really delighted to be working on this with residents and all of my colleagues. Lastly, and most importantly, I would not be here without my family. My husband, Sam, in particular. As I mentioned before, it's only with his full support and really being a full partner in all ways at home and taking care of the kids that I could stand in front of you where I am today. Many of you probably share that gratitude in your life, receiving an award while humbly being aware that the unsung hero is really your partner. So thank you, Sam. I also want to thank my father, whose example and support in my life has been profound. It was childhood conversations with him about the nature of the mind and his gift of books that fed my interest and led me on this path. And also for my mother, who recently passed, for being the model of a dedicated teacher and a working mother. I'm not sure I knew how to do anything else. And also for my children, Annabella and Antonio, who would sometimes tease me about mom's modules and who fortunately found ways to hold on to me even when I wasn't physically there, like when my daughter took one of my shirts and carried it around for several years until it was in tatters, and she called it Mommy's shirt. So I was with her even when I wasn't. But most of all, a huge thank you to Bob Pierattini. I am honored to be the inaugural recipient of this award. Your commitment to residency training and to psychotherapy training as an integral component of that has been unwavering, and I hope to live up to this honor over the next decade or so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lewis, for those wonderful words. And that medallion looks great on you. So It's now my privilege to present a medallion to Dr. Pierattini on behalf of the donors. Dr. Pierattini, would you please join me? Dr. Pierattini, the generosity of the founding donor, Catherine Teeter, Betty Hempel, Elizabeth Schmidt, and yourself has made this green and gold professorship possible. Congratulations to you for inspiring the creation of this endowment. That's a testament to your own work and impact here, as we've heard from others already. The existence of this professorship stands as an enduring legacy to the medical education and training and improving the lives of patients and their families in Vermont and throughout the region, in keeping with the missions of our university and the Larner College of Medicine. On behalf of the donors to this professorship, please accept this duplicate of the medallion we've just presented to Dr. Lewis, which I know you plan to share with the family of Catherine Teeter. We hope it will serve as a tangible reminder of how grateful we are for the extraordinary support you provided for our faculty.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see you, and I really mean that. I haven't seen people in person for a while, so this is wonderful. I have 3 points to make in 3 minutes. First, congratulations, Judy. You've heard of Judy's scholarly and clinical accomplishments, which I'm not going to repeat. I'll only say that Judy exemplifies the clinician scholar at the Larner College of Medicine. And I'll also say that as chair, there are innumerable challenges and tasks that must be accomplished continuously. And the chair relies on a few people who always have the task under control. And Judy is one of those people in multiple roles. And I not only want to thank her for her contribution to the department, but I want to thank her for her contribution to me personally to help me be successful and to make the job as rewarding as it was. There are certain people that are just invaluable. My second point, I want to thank Catherine Teeter and her family. This was an amazingly generous gift. It was the bulk of the gift. Even though people are being kind to me, the Teeters were the bulk of the gift. And the generosity is more than simply giving the money to the Department of Psychiatry. The generosity is naming the professorship in my honor when ordinarily the donor would attach his or her own name to the gift. And that's astounding to me. I'm very grateful. I want to make 2 side points. One, for those of you who are psychotherapists or clinicians and wonder about the boundary problem of having a gift from a grateful patient who not only gives money to the university, but names it. I was unaware that she was doing this. She worked with the development office, and I did not know about it until it was well underway. So this was truly her initiative. And the second point for Kathy and Paul Robert, who might be wondering why it took so long to do this, I'll just confess that it was a little awkward for me to have a ceremony of this kind while I was still so active as chair, and I put it off. I asked the development office to put it off. So I'll own that. Kathy and Paul Robert were very generous themselves and supported this gift, and I appreciate their contribution to this as well. Elizabeth Hampel, Betty Hampel, was an artist and writer in Middlebury. You can look into her work. Left her estate to the Department of Psychiatry, and also a very big contributor to make this possible. And I want to acknowledge and thank her that as well. My third point is just to say that I do value the training in psychotherapy. I think it's integral to the practice of psychiatry and all mental health care. I will be very pleased if this Green and Gold Professorship follows the director of psychotherapy training or the senior educator in psychotherapy as an endorsement of a value I hold dear. I'm glad that that's happening. So those are my 3 points. Congratulations, Judy. Thank you to our donors, and long live psychotherapy training.
Thank you so much, Bob, for those wonderful words. And we miss you around here, but the department's in great hands. I want to thank everyone who spoke today and attended. I want to thank representatives of the Teeter family for joining us today. Kathy and Paul, I know you're out there. Also Provost Prelock, I hope you get better soon. I hope you agree we did this okay without you being here. And I'm tremendously proud to have gotten to preside over this event. We've had a few of these. We're always looking for more opportunities to celebrate new endowments. And it all has to do with the pride we have in the great people who make up this Larner College of Medicine. You think of the clinical care, you think of the education, you think of the research, you think of the contributions to our community. And what better way to thank and reward individuals such as Dr. Lewis and others to come in terms of acknowledging their excellence and providing a legacy that will outlive all of us. So in closing, we have refreshments. Please stay and enjoy time. As Bob said, you're seeing people in person again, with or without masks. Please enjoy this time together. For those joining us by live stream, thank you so much for joining. And I hope everyone stays well, stays safe, and thank you for joining us today.